Welcome to my bed cam. Um, other people do this, so I thought, well, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I know it's really, it's really dark, but it's just as well. I mean, there's nothing much to see here. But, oh man, it's like 10:19 p.m. It's October 7th. And I gotta tell you, I did a couple videos on Saturday, the 4th. It would have been, was it the 4th? I think so. And oh my gosh, when I went to bed that night, I knew I was getting sick at that time, like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, because I had a sore throat and shit. And it's probably because of starting a new job and seeing all of a sudden, going from having little to no contact with people to all of a sudden just all kinds of contact with people. And I don't think I've ever gotten sick when I started a new job, and I was just like, obviously, I didn't want to call in sick in my third week. So I drank as much orange juice between like Saturday or Friday and now, today, as possible. Today was the first day of work. I had 4 days off. And, oh man, like Saturday night, into Sunday, it was just, Sunday was horrible. I mean, I imagine this is just a cold, but I rarely ever get sick. Once a year, if that. I'm really lucky. And when I do get sick, oh my God. It makes you realize how much you just take being healthy for granted, It's a good wake-up call. And somehow just drinking enough orange juice or whatever and stuff, I managed to get myself into work today. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about Sunday. Where it was like I literally didn't even, a lot of people are saying that literally shit all of a sudden, or at least I'm noticing it. I'm trying not to say it, but I'm saying it. Um, you know, I couldn't barely get out of bed Sunday like all day. I slept like on and off, give or take like 24 hours straight, like more or less. I mean, I'd get up to piss and drink orange juice, and then you'd be like, you want to take a hot bath so you can put the washcloth full of hot water on your forehead and just try to bake this crap out of you. So you take a bath, like, it's funny how like when you're sick, like time has no you just, you're really not even going according to a sleep schedule or anything. Like you'll wake up at 4 in the morning and take a bath and just go back to bed until noon or something and just it's just crazy. But Sunday was just like between when I went to bed on Saturday, I didn't really officially wake up until I can't even. Another thing is I can't even barely remember anything between now and Saturday. But personally, I imagine this is how it is with everyone, but personally, when I have like a cold or something like that, my mind will just race and race and race and think about, it'll be on cruise control. It'll think about, this is mainly when you're in bed trying to sleep. I'll be in bed trying to sleep and it'll just be thinking about whatever it wants to without my permission, Actually, when I come to think about it, I can change the subject and I'll suggest to my brain I'll just change the thought from one thing to another, and then it'll run with that idea. But any idea gets annoying with when your mind's running with it when you're just trying to sleep. But last night I thought I was better, but last night it was frustrating because it was Monday night, which of course is only a day after Sunday, but sick. I thought the mind racing shit was over last night, but no. Sometime throughout last night I was trying to sleep and I had a dream about, like a nightmare about being at work at cashiering, you know? And it was like, it was almost pitch dark in the store. I could barely see what I was doing, like, and I couldn't tell, how on a conveyor belt it's like, the customer puts, the next one puts their, uh, a little marker down so that you know where the person you're scanning starts and the next person stops and whatever. I'm still sick. I can't talk. I can't think. But it is just like, oh my god. So I actually had like a fever-induced nightmare about work, just cashiering, and last night, and Sunday was so horrible. It's like, so I drank all kinds of orange juice, and like I say, when you get actually physically ill, you're reminded of how lucky you are when you're not sick. It's just like, whoa. You take it for granted, you're so, blah, 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 about whatever, I'm lonely or whatever, which is important too. But, Jesus, just simply being healthy is a gift. Not being sick. So I don't know if I'm going to even upload this. I just wanted to try one of these bed cam videos that a lot of people do. Also just change it up. I imagine the closer, not really. I get, the brighter I get. And like I say, I know it's not very bright, but like I say, I'm under the weather and there's not a whole lot to see here anyway. So anyway, today I also wanted to, before I end, talk a little bit about having started my third week at the job. In particular, how I was feeling about it today, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Oh, man. I guess, it's ironic because the job I had, the last one I had, I quit after 4 days, was like too boring, and this one is the opposite, where it's too much constant cashiering all at once, and it's just like, fuck! It's like finding that perfect balance of like, floor work and cashier work is kind of hard to do, I had that perfect balance at my last job. It was today because I was so, well, I'm a lot better now, but I kind of went into work still relatively sick, and malnourished and shit, and it's just like, I was like, by the time I got 4 hours into the shift, I needed a lunch break. I was so just loopy and just goofy and shit, and I'd say hello to the next customer and ring their stuff in, and then later on, a few moments later, I'd be like, did I say hello to you? Yes, you did. It's just like I was, I don't drink or do drugs, but, I mean, that's as close to I'll ever get to being drunk, It's like, do not operate heavy equipment or ring or cashier when you're in this state. Yeah. Oh, yeah, what I was talking about before I end is, just not knowing, not sure how I feel about the job. I guess that's bullshit. I know that I don't necessarily like it, but I mean, you can't really judge by today. I don't know. I try to be this positive bastard and say, well, you can't judge because you were sick today. Well, the days I worked before I was sick, I didn't like either. But, it's October. Yeah, I'm scheduled for like 35 hours next week. It's like I'm getting the kind of hours I want, or at least during the winter. And it's a relatively easy thing. There's no shelf straightening. It's just like I basically made it in my mind at this point that quitting is not an option, you know. And then I realized I suffered. I was kind of miserable today because I was sick, you know. I mean, I've started jobs before where it was the same thing. It was like just, where I've started in November, and it's just like I said to myself, just hang with it into the winter, or I mean through the winter till spring, and then if you're still miserable by spring, quit. But what always happened is, by then, it's just home, you know. So you allow yourself to acclimate to it. So it's really not, I don't know, it's easy to say this when I'm not at work, but as far as I'm concerned at this point, quitting, especially in October, and when you're actually getting, because I didn't know, the job I had for almost 3 years that I quit in June, you couldn't barely get, like, full time there is 30 hours a week. It's just pathetic. And I didn't know if, like, because I'd spent like 4 years or so in a at a mom and pop video store and owned by some woman, and I didn't know if in the time that I spent there, that corporate jobs, you couldn't even get decent hours because you hear about people working 3 hour or three jobs, and it's just like, and I didn't know if I'd even be able to get a job where I got enough hours and shit. So, you know, I'm fortunate that I'm actually, can get all that hours at one job. I didn't want to have to get more than one job. So there's a lot of fortunates, or, it's so close and you get a lot of hours and all this stuff, So that's where I am. That's my little, I was, sick this weekend story and where I am at the job, And also I cannot believe I was just in the car before I drove home tonight. I worked till 9. I couldn't believe how like, in the particular job I do now anyway, cashiering, how basically little to almost virtually none of interaction you have with coworkers. Like, that's kind of depressing. When I got back from the 30-minute break, I went and got some fast food and came back. And I came back late, and this one girl who's a real sweetheart, not the one I like. Well, I mean, I like her too because she's a sweetheart, but I mean, it's not like I'm going to be like, oh, try to pursue her or anything like that. I don't really bother with women unless I feel like they show an interest in me, because if they're not showing an interest, then there's really no point. But she's just like the sweetest girl ever, and she's like really nice and makes me feel welcome, like not afraid to ask. I gotta wrap up, but when I got back from lunch, she just talked to me about wanted to make sure I knew what the lunch time limit was because I came back late and stuff. So we chatted for a bit, and that was really nice. All I really need per shift is like, oh man, I mean, even just like a solid 5 minutes like that, it really makes all the world of difference to have someone's undivided attention, someone that I actually like talking to like that for 5 minutes a shift is really all I need to quench my, I mean, I'd like to have more, but I mean, 5 minutes goes a long way and per 6 hour shift or whatever. So there you go. That's what happened to me over the weekend, where I stand at the job. It's just like, but I can't quit. I just can't do it, and I can see the time right now on the screen, so I don't have to look at the Galaxy 5 thing with the timer, so whoop-de-doo. So thank you very much for watching, or more like listening, I guess, and as always, I'll catch you on the next video.